Hello and welcome to The Mohit Show. In this video, I'll be covering posts from r/detrans, a well-moderated subreddit for people questioning, desisting, or detransitioning. Now on to this video's first post, titled, Detrans Male Struggling with Life Without a Penis. This is by someone questioning their own gender transition. I had gender reassignment surgery and since decided it still didn't make me feel like a woman. I could never pass. And I just am more comfortable presenting male. I feel so uncomfortable not having a penis anymore. I really knew when it was gone, I was actually a male and could never be a woman. Could never be a woman, yeah. I've been wearing a packer, and although it feels better than walking around, I'm struggling with having to sit to pee and overall feeling like less of a man and having troubles dating women. All turn me down when they find out. I feel like old Greg. I don't know what that means, but I want to end my life really struggling. Can anyone relate? Now from the comments, a detrans male individual comments, we have people who can probably relate on the Discord. A detrans individual comments, I am so sorry. I can relate as a female who lost her old breasts. For me, what has helped has been to focus on what I have. Do you have sensation? Can you have sex and at least physically enjoy it? If so, you can psychologically integrate your past into your present and get to a place where your self-worth as a male is not devalued by the fact you had sex reassignment surgery. I think bisexual women and queer women in general would be able to date you. Also other detrans people. Unfortunately, our ranks are growing. It's an extremely difficult place to be, and I'm so sorry. And a detrans female individual comments, my heart goes out to you. I obviously don't understand what missing a body part is like because I haven't had any removed. But I relate to being turned down and having troubles dating as a trans man with no penis. You'll find a woman who loves every bit of you and will see you for who you truly are and see the man past the surgery. I can attest women can be quite superficial in that aspect of dating. Even full-grown adult women, it's pathetic in my opinion. And you'll want to stay away from women who turn you down over that. They are spiritually immature in the way they can't see past flesh. And the detrans male individual comments, I hope you're getting the help you need. I do worry about you. Now on to the next post, titled, I did a very stupid thing. This is by detrans male. Because I hated myself as a man and everything that it entails. And even though I could see the nice things to being male and cis, I rejected them. To chase an impossible desire. I couldn't appreciate being male and myself just the way I was. Out of desperation, frustration, and recklessness, I decided to transition male to female. I wanted to be the girlfriend I could never have. I wanted to wear the clothes I was never allowed to as a man. I was envious of women. I liked seeing myself as a woman, both sexually and non-sexually. I failed at being a man. I had no connection to masculinity. I wanted to have the body of my dreams until I didn't. My breasts and curves freak me out now. But all that didn't make me a woman. I still wish I were born female, and I'm glad she probably exists in a parallel universe, but not in this one. I've been dealt the cards to being a man. This is my destiny. This is who I'm supposed to be, and I can no longer fight against that in a battle that is impossible to win. Transitioning took so much away from me, I took for granted. I hated how HRT made me feel physically and mentally. I hated that my downstairs stopped working. I hated having to constrain my natural voice. I hated being subject to discrimination and worse. There's nothing wrong with being a man. I'm not inherently evil. I don't have to fulfill every expectation of society. I don't have to be toxic. I can acknowledge my flaws and weaknesses. This is just me speaking for myself, though. I don't want to be a trans activist. I don't want to be a detrans awareness activist. I'd rather keep most of my views to myself. I think both sides of the coin have good and bad points. But honestly, I don't really care anymore. That is the best I can do. D/trans healthcare and support is broken. That's not my problem to fix. I have other things to deal with too. I just want to move on and have the best life I can possibly have. I want to be free and healthy, and to be a good man, to a great wife. There's still a lot I have to learn and figure out and grow as a person. But I have all the time in the world for that. No more pressure from transitioning, even if it's tempting sometimes. Now, from the comments, the trans individual comments, it sounds like you're in a wise feeling sort of place, and I'm glad for you for that. Good luck with the rest. A desisted person comments, I'm glad you were able to reckon with the traumas from being male and the way people treat and see men. I agree you don't have to be those things. It sounds like you're on a more stable and fulfilling path that better respects the boundaries of women around you. And I'm sure you can find the same things through being friends or more with women. And a detrans male individual comments, don't be ashamed, guilty, or beat yourself up. Stop, pause, and think about it a little. If you rushed into transition, give it a better thought and plan for how you get back to where you truly feel you need to be. I have been there myself, regretted taking estrogen, did not regret an orchiectomy or face surgery. Had to search and find an endocrinologist MD to put me on methyl testosterone. I was weak, fat, and stupid after 12 months of estradiol. I had gynecomastia surgery and had to expand my workout to more cardio and weights to get back to better shape. I looked my best as a woman before I started estradiol, and I had a lean muscle body. Finally got back there stronger than ever. The least of my worries today is about being trans, and I finally found a real comfort spot, and you will too. Next post, titled Detransition Timeline, Female to Male to Female. This is by a detrans female. At 14, I started taking T. I stopped 2 years later at 16. I'm now 20. I had no surgery. I want to write my experience to help others kind of know what to expect. Hopefully others can write the changes they experience too. Voice. My voice settled at its deepest for a long time, 16 to 19. But in recent months it's gotten softer. Not higher though. I am called she by other women. Men, it's mixed. I definitely don't sound like a woman, but it's something. Adam's apple is still present. It's permanent. Face. I had a Chad jawline from 15 to 17, but it very quickly receded. My jawline is still somewhat angular, but still feminine enough. Body hair. The changes are permanent, and in very embarrassing parts of the body. The hair is dark and thick. Waxing works, but it grows back just as thick. My hairline receded permanently. It looks bad, but bangs can cover it. Odor. It went away very quickly, thank God, after about a few months after stopping tea. Just practice good hygiene, lol. Period. It stopped around 6 months in, but returned 2 months after I stopped tea. Since then, it's never been the same. Light flow, less days. I haven't seen a doctor or gynecologist since I stopped tea. I'm not sure if I can have kids, but most women recovering from tea can, I think. And passing. Women are more likely to see me as female, but I'm still seen as male most of the time. But once someone knows I'm female, they address me as such. TLDR, your age, genetics, dose, and time on cross-sex hormones are huge factors. I do not look like a woman, nor will I get my body back. I went through a grieving period, but I've accepted myself and my body. To anyone questioning, especially kids, do not go on hormones. It will destroy your body. Hormones are necessary for brain/body development. Cross-sex hormones will ruin your body's natural ecosystem. Please learn to love yourself for who you are. It can take years. It won't be easy, but you'll be happier in the end. Now on to the next post, titled, Our society is so screwed up that people are in so much pain that they want to do this. This is by a desisted female. It gets said a lot here, and society is beginning to acknowledge and discuss it, but I don't think society fully realizes it. It's the fact that people do this, they're in so much pain that they do this, that they might not even suffer for a few years until they realize it wasn't their authentic selves. The problem is what's irreversible. But the fact that someone could completely alter their bodies, deny their true selves, and for it to be temporarily be an upgrade shows how much pain our society causes certain people, certain men and women. Whatever people are going through, they haven't been able to remedy without journeying outside themselves. Some of people's experiences here are what they did they enjoyed, or it helped, or they gained perspective, or something intangible, or some intangible psychological growth from the transition. It's just that they paid in irreversible bodily changes. Not everyone's, of course, that's not everyone's narrative. But I think it's under-acknowledged why these patterns happen. The amount of injustices in our society, the pain in people's lives, the fact that certain people are valued more than others is just this invisible fact of life. You can look at the detrans problem as a mental health problem, because it definitely is. It's a problem of how do you deal with people who mistook some other problem for being transgender. But it's also a matter of society causing certain groups an incredible amount of pain. There's no good way to cope with it. A certain proportion of these people are attempting to fix it through transition who are actually cis. Next post, titled, I'm finally figuring things out, and my life has improved a lot. This is by a desisted female. I spent all year, since February, going back and forth to start HRT as a female to male. I was 100% convinced that this would fix all my life problems. I've been catcalled since I was 10 years old, so in my mind, I was like, if I transition into a man and tell people I'm cis for the rest of my life, then I won't get unwanted attention just for existing as a woman. On top of that, I also realized that I have body dysmorphia because of my eating disorder. I was about to start HRT next month and top surgery next year in March, but I'm so happy that I finally realized that this isn't for me. I love being a girl obsessed with pastel colors, flower patterns, and cute things. I don't know, I just wanted to share this with someone. But to be honest, I'm embarrassed because I'll have to tell my family that I don't identify as a man anymore. LOL, but everything will be okay, I think. From the comments, someone who's questioning their own gender transition comments, thanks God you didn't make my mistake. And someone who's desisted comments, congratulations on figuring this out before making permanent decisions. I hope you get the support you need in all of this. Now to the next post, titled, Been detransitioning for 2 years after being female to male for 5. What I think of the experience. This is by a detrans female. Hey, I'm female to male to female. Just wanting to vent my own experience. I did the transition thing, found it not to be my long-term goal, and personally, I felt I was trying to escape my identity on an emotional level, rather than truly wanting to embrace what it meant to be a man. Unfortunately, I lost my breasts through my own sheer will of wanting to throw myself away, thinking once I checked all the boxes of my changed gender checklist, I would be healed. It is fine though. I feel humanity is in a need to look beyond the form people take and try to understand each other as individuals more than just gender. Though I still value gender as a concept, we do have differences, which should be considered from individual to individual. Astrology was a big player in helping me understand feminine and masculine energy, outside of the traditional sense of what human society totes around us. Though this umbrella understanding of gender still pertains strongly to what astrology stands for when it comes to these two principles. Like yin and yang, these energies dance together. And know that when I'm placing them in their own boxes of traits, it doesn't mean that the other doesn't learn from the other's traits. Learning from astrology, feminine energy focuses on emotion, water element, reflection, relation, and material, earth element, stability, appreciation. Masculine energy focuses on the mind, air element, judgment, discerning, and action, fire element, movement, progress. I struggle with other mental health issues which pertain to an imbalance of my emotions and mind. The emotional reaction to being a woman became so unbearable. I could not possibly say this transition was meaningless. Testosterone helped me filter out the poor emotions, through allowing me better access to my mind without being bombarded with feelings. I could think about myself as a concept more clearly. In some ways, I wish I could keep using it while healing my identity as a woman. But that's what relationships with masculine people are for. Growing up to the point where I wanted to abandon myself as a woman, I didn't realize how emotionally charged I was. So many negative emotional responses to who I was. This is still happening on several levels, but testosterone has helped change my way of thinking. It helped me step out of my emotions for a time, into my mental body, my mind, more prominently, helping me get a better understanding of myself on levels I never quite could otherwise. My emotions became less prominent on testosterone. It was a blessing, but an eventual curse I set on myself, as I realized that being a man was more than the superficial understanding I had. I have horrible daddy issues. I am not going to lie. My father never decided to show up despite begging for kids. Maybe he wanted sons instead of daughters. So my own personal understanding of the masculine figure was much thinner than it is now. Looking into astrology while being my male self helped me see into this identification more clearly. It's more about living as a fiery ego, trying to build yourself up in the mind and standing up against other egos that may push against you. An important trait that fathers that give a damn about their families pass on to their sons and daughters. But it was not something I had been blessed with. So I stepped into male shoes with this expectation that suddenly my life would somehow be easier in a male sense, and all the silly/horrid female expectations would fall away. No, it wasn't true, because males still suffer their own gender expectations. My mother was a poor leader in understanding males. She would always fill my mind with the idea that men had it easier. She was setting curses on me, and I was unwilling to create my own understanding of men myself. Women have to always look good for men. Men have life so much easier. Women are always treated like shit. These are not good things to fill your little girl with. It indeed assisted in creating me into the mentally ill person I am today, and I was not willing to create the boundaries masculine energy stands for, as my own masculine energy was weak. We need both, hence yin and yang are such an important symbol to me. We can get too lost in these rigid ideas of what men or women should be like or how they are like. Having grown up with fear for people, I wasn't willing to look into them more as individuals as I did when I embraced my male self. I appreciate my experience as my male self as he assisted in my learning to look into people as more of a fractal of so many things, as did astrology. Why is astrology so important to me here? Well, feminine and masculine energy is not just black and white. Because you have different Mazarot signs painting reality into a deeper picture, we're more than just our sun sign, though. It's complex, but our sun sign is a prominent energy, our vessel, if you will, putting into reality. There are women with masculine sun signs and men with feminine sun signs. We're each a unique paintbrush that paints into this universe. Our family tree has spent countless generations applying more energy into our tree, which still persists in us. My family is prominently materially focused, and negatively so, and very in the mind. My own vessel is very emotional. She feels through more emotional energy than my mother or sister, who are much more in their mind. We're all complex paintings of feminine and masculine energy, and I've come to find that my own was imbalanced, damaged, and in need of more spiritual healing than a material one. I focused too much on shifting my material identity than looking into the spiritual meaning of the material self. Of course, this is all my own opinion. I'm thankful to my male self as he helped me uncover a lot of these new ways of thinking about reality. But as my view of feminine energy became deeper than just a pretty face, and my emotions no longer negatively trigger at the idea of being a woman, I've come to realize that being a man is no longer what I seek. Instead, I'm healing my identity as a woman. Slowly but surely. I'm saddened that I threw out the woman I am away for a time. But I'm thankful that I have a deeper way of looking into people as a whole, especially myself. It's difficult because most people are still concerned about gender boxes that rule most of our current reality. But I'm hoping one day we can appreciate each other just for loving who we are, no matter our sexuality or identification, just for being ourselves and not hurting anyone else's boundaries. Until then, I guess dealing with stereotypical expectations is just something we have to deal with. TLDR, I see feminine and masculine energy deeper than I did before my transition. It's healed my mind of the negative emotional triggers of being a woman. And so I am working back to embrace her again, this time fully. Now from the comments. Someone who's questioning their own gender transition comments. I think more power to you if you found strength in astrology. But astrology has a history of perpetuating harmful gender stereotypes and gender roles. It sounds like you are able to distinguish that sort of thing, but I know many people who have further entrenched their views on gender expectations using astrology. The detrans female individual replies to that. Don't even get me started on divine feminine and divine masculine TikTok. So many airhead millennials or kids further enforcing gender stereotypes with this weird evangelical-esque ideas of around sex and relationships completely sets us backwards. I on to the next post. And this is actually the last post for this video. I regret not speaking up sooner, not doing anything sooner. I'm sorry. This is by a detrans female and a moderator of this Reddit. These days, I have a lot of regrets, but one of my largest was my years of servitude and allyship with the very community that hurt so many of you. My denial of what was going on, my ignorance and idiocy in relation to everything, and of course my refusal to share or even speak about my own side effects, thinking they were solely unique to me because of my unique biology as someone with a disorder of sexual development. As one of the people who started medically transitioning 2005 to 2006, as someone who transitioned as a child due to a corrupt organization that rubber-stamped my transition unbeknownst to the medical providers I saw, as one of the very people who was targeted by this system, sorry doesn't even begin to make up for the amount of guilt I feel. It is true that only in recent years did I start to get more grounded and together myself, but when I look back now, it was the very community I allied myself with and gave servitude as an ally that pushed me into that horrible state where I was mere minutes from ending my life. When I was outcast myself due to taking part in this very community back in its older days, I should have realized much sooner that these people were like that. I should have realized much sooner what these people were like and that they did not care about the better of homosexual, bisexual, or even heterosexual people. And to say they cared about trans people, that too would be incorrect. I don't know what it is they care about, but their pushes have hurt so many people. So many people got rushed into easily accessed medicalization or negligence of underlying issues, even pushed into transition by abusive families of both leftist or right-wing nature. Others misled by parents who meant well and just wanted to see you happy. Some of you may not be regretful or in pain over what happened, and I'm happy, because that means you can move past this chapter of your life and go forward. I just hope that the long-term side effects of very experimental treatment don't come to bite people who are indifferent and rob them of the normalcy they reclaimed. At the end of the day, I want people to prioritize their well-being in life going forward, then become activists and have to deal rather than become activists and have to deal with this for the rest of their lives. I'm still a coward. I'm just one of the people who tries to keep the subreddit up and running, so anyone questioning, desisted, or detransition can find others like them, be it angry, indifferent, or full of regret. I know having such a space when I was first starting out could have perhaps stopped me from going down the path I did, could have helped me realizing things sooner. However, I wish I realized what was going on sooner, and it terrifies me what the future looks like. Not because of how many detransitioners there are, or there may or may not be, because of a horrendously flawed system that has a one-track mind of affirmation and ease of access, which the latter typically isn't bad if the proper measures are taken, but in this case they aren't. No, because of the unforeseen and under, if not completely neglected research of cross-sex hormones on the human body. My own body is falling apart, but I refuse to speak up unless I'm left with no choice. That I'm scared for the consequences it'd have upon my family if I went fully public. It was 8 years after testosterone, roughly 10 to 11 years after the endocrine suppression I went through, with resuming a suppression after quitting testosterone that led to me learning a painful reality when I was 25. I learned that I had lost my ability to build muscle and my body was wasting away. The jolts and the sudden loss of control of my motor abilities in the areas I injected, particularly coming to light, the excessive pain I endured for years starting to make sense as it got worse. I took the news hard, insisted it was wrong and that I could overcome it. But it was only a matter of a few years and I lost everything. I lost my job. I lost my ability to support myself, and thankfully I didn't abandon my family like I was encouraged to, because I'd be dead if I did that, given what my last group of LGBTQ friends did to me, having effectively abandoned me and left me to rot after promising to help me and never abandon me. Now I live my life in constant pain, with my mother horrified at what has happened to me, in fear over my life ending naturally before hers. I dismissed everything that happened to me because I thought I was just unlucky, that it was more to do with my disorder of sexual development. But in these years of being a community moderator and manager of detransition-related communities, I've come across numerous young men and women who have shown similar warning signs I did before that awful diagnosis at the age of 25 that confirmed the pathway of my life crumbling. So now when I hear of certain reactions occurring, especially within younger women, I tell them to monitor it and get themselves screened for nerve damage or forms of muscular atrophy, check for osteoporosis, because the amount of pain I go my life through, I wish on no one. Between this muscular dystrophy, the nerve spasms, and the damage that comes with it and my osteoporosis, all before 40, all I can continue to say is I'm sorry, and I'll likely be apologizing until I'm in my own grave. These feelings have been getting to me lately. The amount of regret I feel towards my own cowardice and ignorance, especially as I watch helplessly as young men and women are desperately asking if it gets any better. And I have to tell them the bad news, that we honestly don't know. Now from the comments. A detrans male individual comments, I think one of your key points is so true. We really don't know the long-term impacts of HRT. People claim to know either way are just lying. The dataset just doesn't seem to exist in a comprehensive way. If I do end up giving this new life up, I think I'll be advocating for detransition stories to be told and shared, and that there should be more gatekeeping. I don't regret transition, whether I detransition or not, though. I found my sense of self, and it has really developed through transition, and I found myself more complete as a human, even though being trans was a hard 6 years. I hope your medical problems improve and you're able to get proper care, or people to find solutions. I really feel for you. Don't blame yourself too much. You did what you thought was right for you at the time, and there's no shame in that. And a desisted male replies to that, For female to male, we do know about the long-term consequences of HRT, and they're pretty awful. Here's an article about the East German female athletes who were given testosterone in the 1970s. Link in the description. A desisted female individual comments on the original post. You were abandoned by the people who were supposed to care for you. In a world where your voice is actively being suppressed so that doctors and professionals can get away with lining their pockets. You're not a coward. You're not a bad person. You were misled by doctors who saw you as a cash cow. You're not ignorant for trusting the very people who you are told to trust. You are human, and despite all your flaws and your life experience, you deserve kindness and empathy and dignity and respect. I am so sorry for what's been done to you. Do not blame yourself. You're so much braver than you know. A detrans female individual comments, you are doing perhaps one of the most difficult things in support of detrans people, which is running this sub / providing a safe space for us. Seeing the hate and vitriol people have for us must be unfathomably hard. Even though you cannot provide your voice as much as you would like in the public sphere, for perfectly good reasons, you must still shield and protect us. This sub was a beacon of light during the darkest hours of my transition, and it wouldn't be the same without you. Thank you so much for your sacrifices you make for detrans people, and thank you for the empathy you show. Thank you for continuing to look out for us in ways that you can. I genuinely hope things get easier and better for you, and I'm sorry that you're struggling. Sending love, heart, for real. Now, a desisted male comments, don't blame yourself. A lot of us used to be staunch allies of the trans movement and went with what everyone else thought. Any further questioning may as well have been a hate crime, and expressing different views would just put a target on your back. Hell, even after my life got appended and the community's rhetoric fed into an obsessive spiral, I still tried to give the community the benefit of the doubt despite feeling that being honest about my experience would go against a narrative I had deeply believed in, of every trans person being valid, TM, and that I'd just be seen as a bigot or worse, an internalized transphobe at best. Sorry if this is kind of just word salad, but shit's nuts. And the detrans male individual comments, I'll probably get downvoted for this, but your post reminded me a lot of the victims in this film, who are all talked into accepting a medical procedure, which ultimately destroyed their lives. Now that link, I actually cannot put in the description because of YouTube's rules. So please go and visit that yourself to check out what they're talking about over there. Anyways, that's the end of this video. If you like the video and would like to support this content, please like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you so much for watching this video, and please have a good day.